Welcome back to the Undo Summer School. This is where we unpack work without the waffle. Short episodes, real insight, a little reflection, a lot of relief. We're shifting gears this week. So far, we've been focused on you, your energy, your boundaries, your visibility. Now we're moving into the us phase, because no matter how well you lead yourself, the world of work is relational. Whether you're part of a team, leading one, or working solo but constantly collaborating, you don't do this alone. So today we're going to dive into one of the trickiest dynamics in any work relationship: feedback. Giving it, receiving it, asking for it, dodging it, misunderstanding it, weaponizing it, and sometimes, just sometimes, transforming lives for the better with it. So let's talk about how to make feedback actually work. Our heart lesson for today is, why does feedback feel so difficult? So the word feedback can make even the most confident of us feel a little bit wobbly. Maybe I'm projecting, but I feel like we've all had moments where feedback has felt like a slap in the face instead of a gift. You know, maybe you've been on the receiving end of, you just need to be a bit more confident. You need to take more ownership. That didn't land. It's vague. It's kind of based on vibes, and it's void of anything useful. Or maybe you've had to give feedback and you didn't quite know how to say it, so you avoided it, or you sugarcoated things, or you blurted something out in a moment of frustration. I'm going to tell you a story that I don't share lightly. In fact, I don't think I've really talked about this before. So, years ago, I was managing a team on a tough consulting project. One of my team members, someone that I really liked, didn't deliver. Deadlines were missed, and I ended up doing double the work to just get us over the line. And when my project director asked how it went, I told the truth, and I was really blunt. That feedback got back to her before I'd had a chance to say anything myself, and our relationship, both personal and professional, was completely fractured. We barely spoke again. Looking back, I can see so much more. I didn't just fail to give feedback well, I let my frustration speak for me. I gave it secondhand. I didn't take context into account. I didn't ask myself what she needed to hear. I focused on what I needed to release. I was, at that time, deep in burnout, and I was trying to hold everyone, including myself, to impossible standards. So how could she have not failed? That moment taught me what feedback is really about. It's not something to perform. It's not just communication, but understanding power, having self-awareness, employing empathy, and really focusing on growth are all vital parts of feedback. Let's get into our head lesson. I am willing to bet money that you have had some kind of feedback training, right? You've been presented with a framework about feedback at work. So two of the most common ones are SBI and AID. SBI is situation, behavior, impact. So in Monday's meeting, situation, you interrupted twice, behavior, which made it hard for the team to contribute, impact, right? Simple, clean, pretty effective. But I think it stops short because it tells you what happened. It doesn't help you understand why it happened or what should happen next. So the other really common model, AID, action, impact, desired behavior. So this looks like you didn't send the summary email, action, which left people unclear on next steps, impact. Going forward, send a summary within 24 hours, desired behavior. So AID is better than SBI in that it gives you a next step, and that's really useful. But my view is that it can often feel quite prescriptive and kind of cold, especially if you are doing feedback peer-to-peer or you're feeding up the way. I think it misses on nuance and empathy, and it misses on the person at the heart of the feedback. So I did what I love doing. I created my own model. Enter the WorkWell fact model, FACT. It's built to go further. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it so that it actually lands, supports growth, and preserves your relationships. So let's break it down. F is facts first. Stick to what happened, not your emotions, not your interpretations or your assumptions. So you don't want to say you're unreliable, but you might instead say something like, you submitted 2 reports after the deadline without notice. Neutral language, and that reduces defensiveness and hopefully stops bias from creeping in. A is about action and impact. So describe the behavior and how it affected others, how it affected outcomes, or how it affected progress. So you could say something like, because the update didn't include next steps, the team didn't know how to move forward. You're trying to connect the dots here. You're not casting blame, okay? C, consider the individual. People are not interchangeable. So your feedback must account for context. So you could say something like this. I know you prefer to reflect before responding, which is a strength, but in client meetings, quicker input helps us stay aligned. So you're inviting compassion into the conversation. And then T, tailor the next step. Offer a clear, achievable, personalized improvement. So you could say something like, next time, let's end with a quick summary of key points to make sure that everyone is on the same page. It's forward-facing, it's human, it's realistic. So other models will tell you what to say, but a fact helps you say it in a way that lands without losing the human underneath it all. So let's get into today's hands lesson. We've talked about giving feedback with the WorkWell fact model, but I want to spend a bit more time on the practicalities of asking for, receiving, and even challenging feedback. So asking for feedback, don't wait for your annual review, and don't ask vague questions. So instead of saying, any feedback for me? Try, what's one thing I could do differently next time? What's something I could refine to make this stronger? And timing matters, right? So you could ask just after a presentation, or wait for a tense moment to pass. Ask right at the end of a project or phase rather than months down the line. And then set the tone. I would really value your honest perspective. I want to grow. Set some context and tone and invite that feedback. Now, when it comes to receiving feedback, you've asked for it or it's been offered to you. Now what? Environment matters. Choose somewhere private and calm. Don't try and do deep feedback over a Teams or Slack chat. Okay, format does matter. And to capture nuance, I always recommend verbal. You can do it over a video call. Face-to-face is obviously ideal. Format matters. To capture nuance, verbal is best. And when you want clarity and a chance to reflect, especially in a formal situation, it's great to get written feedback. Now, if someone is providing feedback to you and it feels a bit vague or confusing, you can use the fact model to help them clarify. So you can ask them, can I check what specific action that you're referring to? Or what was the impact you noticed? Give yourself a beat, take it in. Don't rush to interrupt or defend yourself right away. Even if it stings, you can ask more constructive questions like, what would improvement look like? How can I follow up or show progress on this? Okay? And then challenging feedback. Now, let's be real. Not all feedback is fair, not all feedback is helpful, and a lot of it might not even be grounded. If something feels off, pause and breathe. If no examples are given, ask for them. If you need to, share context that might help them better understand the situation. So you can try something like, can I offer a bit of background that might change how you see this? Or, that wasn't my intention, but I do understand the impact. Thank you for raising it. And if you are an overachiever, Do not brush off praise and obsess over critique. Now, a lot of what we're talking about is about maybe harder feedback, trickier things where we're, raising critique. But let's not assume that feedback is negative. Listen, maybe this is me being a bit arrogant about my listeners right now, but I feel like if you're listening to this, you're probably someone that gets a good deal of positive praise. So receive it. Let it land. Write it down. Revisit it. Put it in your bank, your visibility vault that we talked about last time round, okay? Because feedback isn't just about fixing flaws. It's also about recognizing value, and that includes yours. So when you have got positive feedback, take it in, drink it up. A final thought before I go is that feedback is a core part of a positive and healthy relationship. It requires care. Like a lot of things we're going to talk about in summer school, it requires clarity, and sometimes it requires courage. It's not just about helping other people grow. It's also about showing up as someone who themselves is willing to grow, putting ego to one side, not allowing fear to have you in a chokehold, and not thinking so much about performance that we lose the honesty in the feedback that we're giving and receiving. As with all things, there's no such thing as perfection. Just be intentional. Now, if this resonated and you're thinking, gosh, I would like this for my whole team, right? We need this in my business. I do workshops and training, and I can come and teach the FACT model in full. So, if you want to shift your team culture, if you just want to learn how to talk to each other better, or you want to develop your leaders, head to thisisworkwell.com/work with us to find out more so that we can make feedback less feared and more fruitful. Okay, remember, feedback that fuels isn't just a nice to have, it is culture defining. It shapes how we learn, how we lead, and how we live alongside each other at work. So remember this the next time you're sitting on something that you should say. Facts, action, consider, tailor, and then say the thing, but say it with care. See you next Monday.